To me, Global Reach Out is inspiring.
It's connecting with God, reaching out to the world, and impacting life.
The stories that shared is so personal and it deeply impacted me.
Global Reach Out to me is reach out to the truth.
Connecting hearts, connecting lives. You're listening to Global Reach Out.
To me, Global Reach Out is inspiring.
It's connecting with God, reaching out to the world, and impacting life.
The stories that shared is so personal and it deeply impacted me.
Global Reach Out to me is reach out to the truth.
Connecting hearts, connecting lives. You're listening to Global Reach Out.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Global Reach Out. Today, we're continuing the Grace of Redemption series, in which a number of people share stories of how Jesus has transformed their lives. In today's episode, we'll be listening to the story of Chia, Peng, Ngee, whose life is an incredible testimony to God's amazing grace.
That I came to bring light in their darkness and bring joy where there once was pain. Take my healing to the nations, bind their broken hearts with love.
Ngee is the nickname given by Breakthrough Brothers to Peng, a Teochew. This nickname has stuck with him for 16 years. Peng has a tan complexion owing to his time spent in the sun. It is easy to tell that he is a staff member of Breakthrough's Nursery and Landscape Services department from his attire. A simple tank top and long-sleeve shirt, a straw hat, and a pair of plastic boots. Peng's greatest love since his youth is to be among plants. While he was growing up, his grandfather owned a horticulture farm. When his mother inherited the farm, Peng and his elder brother became her assistants. Peng also worked as a lift repair technician. Living in the beautiful environment of plants and greenery ought to have a positive influence on one's development. But how did Peng stray into drug addiction and end up spending more than 20 years in and out of halfway homes and prison?
My jovial nature brought much merriment to my family. Although there were drug addicts in our village, I kept away from the vices of smoking, alcohol, and gambling. But I was later drawn into drug addiction because of my first wife.
Peng married at age 21, and she was only 17. Both were immature. After the birth of their child, they realized they were incompatible. Things got worse when his wife and her boyfriend became hooked on drugs. Peng was made to get drugs for her when she ran out of drugs and money.
At that time, all I knew was that I loved her deeply and did not care about what was right or wrong. I helped her get the drugs and even tried it when I saw how it gave her so much pleasure. I experimented with ecstasy and marijuana at first, but the craving increased, and I was soon consuming heroin. The euphoria it produced made me feel like I was in heaven, when in fact it was the beginning of my worst nightmare.
Both Peng and his wife became drug abusers and were soon arrested and jailed. This led to their divorce later. Peng's family members were shocked to find their favorite son a drug addict. They were deeply disappointed and grieved, but they loved him and tried their best to help him turn his life around. Peng's mind was clearest when he was in prison. He kept telling himself that he would turn over a new leaf after his release. But he failed repeatedly. his resolve was no match for the temptation of drugs. He was in and out of prison several times, and even joined Breakthrough for a while, but soon gave up and returned to his drug-addicted friends and old ways. All the promises and commitments made were in vain. Peng decided to turn to drug trafficking to support his own addiction.
Although I was fully aware of the great risks and serious consequences, I went ahead because I could not resist the temptation of drugs.
While he was wallowing and sinking in drugs, he still wished his days would be blissful and that he would not be jailed again. But calamity soon struck. He was arrested by narcotics officers one day and found to be in possession of 450 grams of heroin, which called for a mandatory death penalty under Singapore's strict drug laws. Peng was shaken to the core.
I was terror-stricken, fearful, and distraught. I was even resigned to dying, since there was no way out. But when I thought of my mother and family members who would be heartbroken and devastated, I told myself that I must not die.
After his trial, Peng was sent to Queenstown Prison pending further investigation. Peng was put in solitary confinement and given 1 hour each day in the yard to exercise and mingle with other prisoners. Living in the shadow of death was incredibly torturous and tormenting for him, and a Christian prison mate observed how wretched Peng was. This fellow prisoner befriended Peng, and it was during one of their casual chats that he shared Jesus with Peng. He encouraged Peng again that following morning to cast all his cares and burdens to the Lord.
He will help you if you trust and believe in Him, because He is a God of grace and mercy.
He then prayed for Peng and reminded him to pray always. On the day before Peng was to be sentenced, the Christian jailmate gathered a few Christian brothers to pray for him. He also reminded Peng to pray for God's mercy and presence. In the Bible, it says,
I entreat your favor with all my heart. Be gracious to me, according to your promise. The Book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 58.
The Lord answered their earnest prayers, and a miracle happened. Laboratory tests showed that the 450 grams of heroin contained only 9 grams of pure heroin. As a result, Peng was sentenced to 7 years of prison and 7 strokes of the cane. When he returned to the prison that evening, one of the officers told him that the sentence was incredible. He said,
You are very lucky. In all my years as a prison officer, I have never seen anyone in your situation given such a light sentence.
No words can describe the overwhelming gratitude Peng felt towards God, who had saved him from the death penalty.
The number 7 signifies wholeness and completion in the Bible. I will thank God my whole life for giving me the 2 sevens, 7 years and 7 strokes, as a special reminder of His abundant mercy.
From that day, Peng gave himself completely to God. He was filled with joy and thanksgiving, and was determined to serve God faithfully because of His love, mercy, and grace. A brand new life was before him when he was released in 2003 and entered Breakthrough for discipleship and equipping. He was greatly blessed in body, soul, and spirit through the word of the Lord. Pastor Simon later sent him to Breakthrough Indonesia to serve drug addict brothers there. He was very encouraged by his Indonesian brothers, who boldly shared their testimonies, even though they had just turned to the Lord. Soon, he also learned to witness for the Lord. Some may say it is almost impossible for ex-drug addicts to find life partners. But Peng met a Christian sister, and they got married 1 year later. They enjoyed almost 2 years of wedded bliss. But like fragile cherry blossoms, the beautiful times did not last. His wife suffered a relapse of cancer, and her life soon faded.
She told me that she would die very contented because she knew how deeply we loved each other.
Still, it was painful having to face death and separation. Peng devoted himself to giving tender loving care to his wife, staying by her side throughout her illness, and seeing to her every need until their final parting.
At times, when I was weeping in deep sorrow, I asked God why He gave me my wife only to take her away so quickly. Why did I have to bear such loneliness and heartache?
Only the love of God could heal the deep grief and pain he felt. When his spirit was gradually restored, he gave praise and thanks to God because he knew the Lord had a loving will and purpose for him. It's because of God's mercy that his wife did not suffer too much at her end and departed peacefully.
I know God loved my wife very much, and she has returned to Him. One day, we will be reunited in heaven.
Slowly, he moved on and was able to get out of the valley. He is not alone on his journey, for the love of the Lord is with him all the way. Each day, he will live with thanksgiving and gratitude in his heart.
I shall never forget the love, grace, and mercy God showed me in 1998. He saved me from the gallows. I would not be here were it not for the Lord. His infinite love came upon a sinner like me, in despair, pain, and agony. He delivered me from enslavement to drugs and gave me freedom and an abundant life. He has also blessed me with numerous opportunities to help and strengthen other drug addicts like me.
To Peng, the greatest blessing in his life is to bear testimony for the Lord and glorify His name. He will persevere to the end, even if he meets with difficulties, and he will find encouragement in the Lord's word.
For nothing will be impossible with God. The book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 37.
We hope you have been greatly encouraged by Peng's story, and we invite you to join us again next time as we listen to another testimony of how Jesus has changed the lives of others. God bless you.
The program is proudly presented by Global Reach Out. We welcome you to share our live enriching webcasts with family and friends through our website, global-reachout.org. Let's reach out to bless more lives together. The program is proudly presented by Global Reach Out. We welcome you to share our live enriching webcasts with family and friends through our website, global-reachout.org. Let's reach out to bless more lives together.